Whatever happened to gay pride? Now we don't have gay pride anymore. We have, I'm here,
Well, the
not
march is
I'm here,
bigger
I'm
than
queer, get used to it. It's, I'm here, I'm queer, I can't help it.
Hello and welcome to Talking Shop. My name's Alex Hudson and I'm with Julie Bindel, a journalist and a campaigner, and according to Patrick Strudwood, a searing pain in patriarchy's arse. That's how he described you.
Oh, what a compliment. Thank you, Patrick.
And so we're going to talk the concept of what LGBT communities is now and whether or not the Gay Liberation Front has succeeded and what happens next.
It's no coincidence that equal marriage was brought through by a Tory government. It's a very conservative move. And of course it is there to say there are good gays and bad gays now. So the good gays are the ones that get married, are in couples, can afford to get married, are solvent, are not bleeding off the state. And the bad gays, and we always used to be all bad gays, are the ones who are single, who want to live in different kind of relationship structures, and who say, I don't want the state involved in my relationship at all. The marker now as to whether you're accepted as a woman, I no longer am judged in the same way for being a lesbian, but I'm judged for not having children. So things are shifting. So now we're expected to marry our same-sex partner and have children together. And that's the marker of acceptance.
Your argument is that there are way too many people in this. Even you call for lesbian women and gay men, that you're not fighting the same battle anymore, or you shouldn't be fighting the same battle anymore.
Well, no, first of all, thereby lies the problem in the fact that all women are railroaded into having children and being married. As lesbians, we actually wanted to be liberated from that during the early women's movement, where many, many feminists were lesbians, including some of the miners' wives. That's a whole other story. So,
what now?
Watch Pride. It's a brilliant, brilliant film.
Okay.
Anyway, so we actually wanted something different. Lesbian was a liberatory sexual identity. Now it's a kind of, well, you just lumped in with everyone else, and women haven't yet been liberated from that compulsory heterosexuality. We're almost being railroaded into that kind of the confinement of other women. I used to be so relieved. Oh, thank God I live my life as a lesbian. Thank God I'm a lesbian. Every day I would say this. I don't have to get married. I don't have to have children. And now look. But then you talk about the LGBTQI and the fact that I wanted to assert our difference between lesbians and gay men, that I think that we have different issues to campaign for. Right.
That then plays into your idea of choice. You know, you're so glad you chose to live your life this way.
Well, can we just put that slightly aside while I answer your other question?
Yes, you may.
Thank you very much. To answer your question
about...
about...
I'm in charge of this debate.
Well, lesbians and gay men, I really hate to have to say this, but I've got some very, very good friends that are gay men who I feel like I've got a lot in common with, in that we are challenging the status quo and that we experience anti-gay, anti-lesbian prejudice, some of which is exactly the same whether it's thrown at men or women. Then there are separate issues about sexism within the gay male community, some of gay male culture, which I, as a feminist, find highly problematic, and I know many younger gay men coming out onto the scene also do. And the fact that we have to deal with sexism as women and men do not. So how can we be this one big happy family when you're men and we're women and we haven't yet been liberated by feminism? So when we are liberated by feminism, we'll all be on the level playing field. But in the meantime, we've got some battles to fight. Coming
on to this LGBT, moving on from that, you have in the past removed T from that, and you've since apologised for the way that was perceived.
Well, we could go through every single, asexual, polyamorous, queer questioning. Take queer, for example. I know that there are many bisexual women, even some that identify as lesbian on another level, who use the term queer rather than lesbian. Now that gender neutralises it. Now the reason why I think it's important to use the word lesbian is because we face specific prejudice because we're women. So we get sexism and misogyny, as well as what you may call homophobia that gay men get. I call it anti-gay prejudice because I don't think it's a phobia. So that's the problem with queer. it completely neutralises it in terms of gender. And I think it's important to say that lesbianism poses a particular challenge for many people because we're women rejecting men and we're rejecting heterosexuality, and women are far worse punished for that. Of course we are, because we're saying
not to sleep with them,
no,
or
of course
choosing
we
to have
are.
sexual attraction to
But
them.
that's the perception. What we're saying is that no, I'm not in the market for marriage and to have a man at the head of my family. I'm an autonomous human being who is with a woman on a far more level playing field than you would in a heterosexual relationship, generally speaking.
I'm glad you added that, yeah.
So I think it's important to use the term lesbian rather than queer for political reasons, so that we can say we have specific problems and we are specifically targeted. And then there are some ways in which lesbians and gay men are targeted together. Then there are some ways in which everybody who shops around the corner, in whatever way they do, whether they say, you know, I'm celibate and I'm proud, I'm polyamorous, I don't wish to be monogamous, then, you know, of course, some of the really straight defined traditionalists will say, you're all bloody queers and you can all fuck off. But that's where the kind of connection, I suppose those gun toters in the States do. But I think that that's the only connection that we've got. What else is there?
So that's true of, so if you're trying to ungroup all of these things, so like feminism, there are so many different arguments, and
much of fun feminism now has become a personal choice. So thanks to feminism, I can now pole dance, strip, do BDSM, and it's all feminism. Well, it's definitely her choice. She definitely has the right, and I don't have any right to question that to her personally, but it hasn't come out of thin air. It's based on something that's been going on for a long, long time, that's deeply embedded within our culture, in other words, patriarchy. And feminism isn't actually about, you know, I work my arse off for 3 decades to end violence against women, along with a global movement, so that women can say, thanks very much, sister, I'm now going to pole dance and call it feminism and call you an anti-sex fuckwit. So you can call it what you want.
And turf.
It's choice. Like I say, something from Harvesters.
Right, so going back, so the gay community has become less radical. Is that because they don't need to be radical anymore?
We still have serious anti-gay bigotry in schools. We still have prejudice towards lesbians and gay men in the workplace. We still have gay men being murdered and being queer bashed. We have lesbians being punishment raped. We have lesbians and gay men who are seeking asylum in the UK being sent back to the countries where they've escaped because their lives are in danger. All in Britain, we still have this. So we have a long way to catch up to the legislation before we can say our job is done. That's my point.
So we still don't know how many people there are, and that's is that because people are still scared about coming forward?
There are some towns in the northeast of England, for example, where I'm from. There's one in particular that I can't name because it might have adverse effects, where there are no out lesbians at all. At all. Now, if you think that coming out is so easy now, and actually coming out is so last season in a way, because we're all just now, you know, in a sense
coming out is going out of fashion.
It's going out of fashion because we've got the first generation of young lesbian and gay people who don't need to come out, they're just there, they've never been in. If it's so last season to come out, why is it everybody goes absolutely bonkers when a sports star or an actor comes out? Why is it that there are very, very few out lesbians in certain professions compared to gay men? And it's not all right.
You've been quoted before as saying that you don't really understand the concept of bisexuality, or you understand it but you don't agree that it's a thing or a widespread thing.
Well, I wrote a piece in the Huffington Post, I can't remember when, a year or so ago, and if there's one thing in my entire journalistic career that I can say that I really, really wish I hadn't written, not because of the flack, but just because it was so shite, that is it. It was an appalling piece. I actually can't believe that I wrote it. It's a shame that it's up there forevermore, but there you go. It was just shite, what can I say? But in terms of bisexuality, it's more a kind of...
Okay, we'll put a link to that below if you want to read it.
It's more, thanks very much for that. It's more a sense of it being, for some, a nice little transition. So I said I was bisexual when I was at school. I was being bullied because I thought at least that was a bit more respectable. For many, Tom Daley, for example, you know, he had to do the softly coming out when he's gay. I mean, he's gay.
Tom Daley hasn't. He's just said, I have a boyfriend. I'm perfectly happy with my boyfriend. I've dated girls before. I wouldn't exclude dating girls again.
Yeah, of course, sure. Let's wait for that then, shall we? So I think
just because one is not in the present tense, as in active present tense, it can still be passive present tense. You can still be experiencing those feelings without.
If I'm still alive in 20 years' time, shall we come back and have a talk about Tom Daley and his kind of dating patterns?
That would be a boring story.
It would, wouldn't it? God, it would. And I think, you know, there's an argument about whether or not one is born gay or whether same-sex attraction is immutable. And mainly it's lesbians who are saying, no, we don't actually want to use that as a way to call for our rights. We want to say it doesn't matter how we got here, we deserve our rights, we deserve equality. And so I think it's often used in a cowardly way to capitulate and to placate and say, it's not catching, you know. Only some of us are born this way. If you're not born that way, you can't be it. Well, tell that to the women, and again, see the film Pride, who were happily married, who met a lesbian and thought, my God, the sex is so much better.
You say that sexuality, you know, it's not this inherent genetic thing, and because you say there's no evidence for that.
I'm really interested to know why so many gay men are rabidly defensive of this position, and why they call me and others, Susanna Walters in the States, who's an author, just written a brilliant book called The Tolerance Trap. Also Cynthia Nixon, who said, I've been gay and I've been straight and being gay is better. Why we have so much hatred directed towards us when we say this can be a positive choice. Whatever happened to gay pride? Now we don't have gay pride anymore. We have, I'm here, not I'm here, I'm queer, get used to it. It's, I'm here, I'm queer, I can't help it. Well, actually, I think that there are many people who like being gay and lesbian, who would not flick a switch to turn heterosexual, as Patrick Strudwick suggested, if it were possible, who actually, despite the fact that we get prejudice and bigotry, still love being gay or lesbian. And I think that people like Patrick Strudwick confuse homophobia, like whether you would choose to live around homophobia, with choosing to live as a gay or lesbian. Of course none of us want to live with that prejudice. That's why some of us campaign to end it.
If there are all of these, you know, that choose to live in a gay lifestyle and a heterosexual lifestyle and sort of oscillate, or, you know, better word than oscillate, sort of, that's bisexuality by a lot of people's definitions.
No, not necessarily at all. What you can do is look at the conditions in which women live under patriarchy. And I know it's an old-fashioned word, but it's absolutely pertinent to this discussion. Women gain by leaving heterosexuality behind. You know, we gain autonomy, independence, liberation. So when people say, yeah, but you wouldn't choose to be, yes, I bloody well would. I wake up every day and think, thank God I'm a lesbian. This is brilliant.
No, you can't thank God for it if you chose it. So if you can choose this, it's not thanking you, it's thanking your decision-making process.
But it's not a consumer choice. It's not like washing powder or jeans or where you go on holiday at all. And for women living under the cosh of compulsory heterosexuality, opening up your mind and thinking, do you know what? I don't have to marry Mick from down the road and have 3 kids. I actually quite fancy that woman that I met in that club. For women, you know, you're married, you're pretty stuck, right? I mean, it's a generalisation, but women have far less power in the private sphere and in the public sphere than men do. And so for women, the expectation of marriage is far stronger. I mean, that's why we've got forced marriage, early marriage. That's why women are the majority of victims of domestic violence. That's why most women file for divorce, citing domestic violence and unreasonable behaviour, because marriage is actually it's a pretty bad lot for women. And it's one where women are constrained. Men have far more freedom than women, sexually and socially. So I think lesbianism can be a great liberation for women.
So everyone should try it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, why would you not try it? You know, why? I mean, Julie Bindel said something very funny once. She said that, you know, she had had an affair with a woman only one time. And I said, why did you not do it again? She says, oh, come on. It's like visiting Iceland. You only want to do it once. Well, she's quite unusual in that sense. Most women who try it once, there's no going back.
Julie Bindel, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And if you'd like to subscribe, do so up here, down there, but not, it'll be above here, somewhere there. Do so and leave comments below about what we should cover, what you thought of that, all the stuff you've read, what you thought of Patrick, what you thought of Julie's quotes, or what you think of anything that we might have put up during this that I might have mentioned but forgotten about already, because that was probably about 20 minutes ago. Thank you very much for watching, and see you soon.
What do you call sex work? And I think in Sweden, which has the end demand model, which is sort of being pushed for here, they've settled on if genital touching happens, which is quite an unusual arbitrary line to draw in the sand. So porn performers, you know, like it just is, it's a bit of a grey area.